What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Shifting Gears. I've got this episode broken down into 2 parts. You're on part 1 now, and part 2 will go live later this week. Also later this week, I'll post the full 1-hour conversation, in case you want to listen all in one go. As always, I've got the guest profiles linked below, and I'll have my personal opinions typed out in a PDF linked below. Now enough chatting, let's do this. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Shifting Gears. Today we're going to be discussing Horde mode, but more specifically, we're going to be talking about speedruns and quitters. As usual, before we hop into all the topics, let's get to know our panel. So we're just going to go around in the order I have you guys on my screen. So, Grouch, we'll start with you.
I'm Grouch on Couch. I've been playing Gears of War since 2006. Raised 2 sons that are now 19 and 16, both gamers, both love Gears as well. I play Gears in Horde mode, basically what the team wants to adapt to. Mainly use sentries for support fire and let the team actually fire some weapons. I have done a lot of speed runs. My favorite class is Scout, and earned my Seriously 4.0 on January 24th, 2017. And my re-up 10 was done on December 19th, 2016.
Wow.
762 matches played of Gears 4 Horde.
Jesus. Alright, Pope, you are up next.
Alright, so I'm Pope Adrian, 37th. Been playing Gears since 06. I was the only person camped outside of my Game Crazy to pick up my copy that I pre-ordered, so pretty into the series. I don't stream or do anything competitive on that nature. I just follow people that do. So not big on the scene in that sense, but I do support it. So mostly when I'm playing Horde, though, I'm mostly sticking to speedruns these days. I'd say the most common class that I play is the Engineer, and I'm pretty adaptable to most situations. So if people all of a sudden decide we're going to do just a regular playthrough, I mean, I can hold my own. So
Right.
I mean, I've been playing Horde since there was no fortifications at all, so it's not too bad as long as I get in cover.
Right.
Alright, and lastly, Neff, you are up.
Alright, my name is Nefred. I've been playing Gears of War since 06. I think I was like 13 or something, or younger than that when I started playing Gears, and I pretty much stuck with it since. I had my mother pre-order Gears of War 2 along with my Xbox 360 at the time, and I remember waiting at Target to get it, and it was just one of the best things for me. When it comes to Horde, I was playing pretty much like a speedrun. I'm pretty much like a speedrunner, but I pretty much stopped recently because of not really finding anything else to do. But hopefully we can go through things here.
Yep. Alright, I guess, why not?
What's your favorite class?
Oh yeah,
my favorite class was Scout because it grew out of people were not really doing it right, and a mixture of just being a tanky person who can just pretty much not really do a mix between damage and reviving teammates if they're like paper and I'm like a rock.
Alright. So I guess real quick, I'm Chaps. I have been playing since 06, I think, December of 06. I started out Horde just trying to figure out the meta and figure out different ways of playing. Then I evolved into pretty much doing nothing but speedruns for a while. And I don't play Horde that much anymore, but when I do, it's mostly me trying to find a way to have fun with it, whether it's like melees only or no fortifications or just something to change it up. But with all of us covered now, let's go ahead and hop into today's topics. So first of all, welcome guys. Thanks for joining me. Forgot to say that earlier.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me too.
Yep. So I wanted to start off by talking about the quitting problem in Horde, as I assume that's probably going to like we're going to talk about speedruns because obviously that's going to come out of the quitting problem.
Okay.
So whenever there's a problem, it's good to start looking for like the root cause. What's the root cause of the problem? And in my mind, it's broken down into a few main things. First, it's simply that people don't want to play a full set of waves. Maybe they're quitting because they don't want to play a full 50 or a full 25, or maybe they're just trying to complete a small bounty.
Mm-hmm.
We also have the people who don't agree with the playstyle of other players. And the last main reason that I see is people not liking the map that may have been picked, because we all know it's just an RNG map that's played.
Okay.
Obviously, each of these has some subcategories to it, which we can discuss, but I think generally those are like the main reasons I see the quitting problem arising. So
Right.
that, I'm going to open it up to you guys. Is there any of those, or even another one that you can think of that really stands out that you want to start off talking about?
I would,
Go
I
ahead.
would-
Somebody
I
go ahead
would
and
say
start.
the quitters mainly.
What's that?
How about the quitters?
Yeah, so I guess which aspect of people quitting do you think we
I
should
think
start?
it's because of the long 50 waves.
Okay, yeah. So, they did say...
I can definitely weigh in. I mean, if anybody else, I mean, like, just because I am streaming. Once again, I've only been streaming for about 8 months, so like,
Yeah.
this is all kind of new to me. But like, big things I've noticed is wave, like you said, map selection. I think that has a big play into it. Like, people get into there and you're forced into the lobby. Like, you're locked there. You can't quit the game. You can't get out beforehand to let us cycle in a new random player that wants to play on the map, doesn't care.
Yep.
You know, like, so you're locked there.
Mhm.
So then everybody gets into the game and then people quit. The other thing I think that maybe is a subcategory, like you were saying, is classes. Somebody comes into the lobby, they are set as engineer. Somebody else is set as engineer.
Yeah.
If nobody moves off that position, you know one of those people are quitting.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
It happens
Yeah.
all the time. I count quitters on the stream. So, like, it happens all the time. And I will say that I get the most amount of quitters at higher difficulties with randoms.
Yeah, I
that's
think that's the
interesting.
case because people want to make sure to have a solid team and not sit there with a duplicate of a class that can't really do stuff.
Hmm.
If you have double engineers, it's not really as beneficial as like having two heavies.
Right, and not, you know, like I said, that's basically comes down to nobody's using their mic, or that's the class that person wants to play. And if the other person's not going to switch off, I'll just recycle in. But like I said, if we could just quit out during that and let somebody else cycle in, because you're on the countdown, you're on a minute something countdown regardless. So, like, somebody
Yeah.
else cycles in, you know, like, let us leave.
that's
Or
been-
let us vote.
If
Like,
you
why
change
can't we
your
vote?
class every 10 waves or something like that, so at least you have that flexibility.
Hmm.
I think you run into that issue where all of a sudden somebody picks the engineer and you're like, all right, fine, that's fine, be the engineer. And then 5 waves in, you're like, this dude doesn't know how to play engineer. We need a new one. And this guy's pot committed that he's gonna be their engineer, and
Right.
now he's just terrible. So you get people that are leaving out of frustration, and then if you had the ability to change, you could at least cycle and see, okay, I gave it a shot. Now that's not working. Let's try something different rather than
Right.
stop the
Right.
entire game.
Yeah, I also sort of think that Gears players are a little quick to react. So even if you could change at wave 10, I bet a lot of people would still quit out before you even hit that time to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one of the big, like, highly requested things from the community that Grouch, it's something you brought up, is quitting while in the lobby. Like, if you don't like the map, or you see 4 people selecting sniper and you are like, okay, obviously this is
Right.
not going to go well.
Right.
One, I don't want to sit through the entire like 2-minute cycle to load up a match and quit out, but like, let us just quit there and
Right.
load up a new one.
And I will say, I mean, like, I will comment on your comment about like the longer waves and things like that. I think that does play into some people leaving, but with the introduction of the frenzies and the monster mashes and the lights and these 25 wave experiences, that number has dropped significantly for me. like I don't see that as much because people have the time to do that 25 wave experience, instead of having to sit out through a 50 wave one,
I think that's one of the best things they've done for
Mhm.
Horde is adding that 25 option.
Right.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
has been a good
and-
option.
And anytime I join a public match for a monster match, even like last night I did one, and it was just me and 4 different random people, and nobody quit out, nobody had mics and communicated the entire time, but everybody played to their class, and it was actually a really fun match. But it's just kind of, there's clearly a demographic that just wants a smaller Horde experience with the kind of same credit and XP reward that a full match would give them.
Yeah. So one thing the Coalition's brought up a lot, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think it was like Gears 3, people on average played 10 waves of Horde and then left. And in Gears 4, I think that number's up to like 20 waves or something like that on average.
It's probably something like that.
What I have no idea. What do you guys think is a driver behind that? What's keeping people playing longer?
Credits.
Credits.
Credits and
Mainly
packs.
credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a real divide. There's a lot of people that come in that are versus players on Gears and give me crap because I'm playing Horde and streaming Horde.
Come on, baby.
Yeah.
Like because they think that's it. And I'm like, no, I'm just a co-op type
About an
player.
hour.
Like I like playing with friends or random people that you work together as a team. You have a team objective. It's not necessarily about the kills in this version of Horde. It's more about getting the team from 1 to 50 without failing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I like that aspect, and that's what so but it's all credit driven in my opinion. So it really is. Like, people are sticking around longer. Like, if they would have had Gears 3 a way to turn on mutators on a random search, that number would have been way higher for Gears 3. Because I played a ton of private Horde with mutators with my friends over and over in Gears 3.
Yeah.
Same here.
But you couldn't do that on a public, right?
I pretty much only played private Horde.
That's exactly my point. That, like, once we got the mutators, like, everybody was on private with their friends.
Yeah.
There was no need for public, So, like, if they would have introduced a public mutator Horde for Gears 3, I think that number would have been higher than Gears 4, even without credits and packs involved.
And credits really are a double-edged sword. We have that drive to make people want to play more because they want to get those credits. But at the same time, as we all knew, this conversation was going to evolve into speedruns at some point.
Right.
And, I mean, what's the root of speedruns? It's people wanting credits.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It's
part of
definitely-
it really started out with the credits, but especially once you get into like the re-up 10 and the wings, you're almost like, it feels like you're doing yourself a disservice if you actually want to level up still. If you're trying to play versus playing Horde, because you're gonna make so little progress. Like, that bar moves so ridiculously slow.
It is. It's terrible.
Yeah, I'm at Wings 356, I believe it is.
I think I'm at Wings 2 still at like 68 or 67.
I think I'm around like Wings 370-ish.
Right.
I think. Yeah, and it's crazy slow.
Right. It's so slow. Right.
And like, so yeah, I started out doing speedruns for the credits, and then slowly it evolved into okay, how can I optimize this? Essentially an optimization problem. It's like, what other maps could we do? How could we trap spawns? Like, so actually, I found it kind of fun trying to figure out what we could possibly do to make existing speedruns better or find new ones.
Like, to me, they gave us the tools. The whole point of the Fabricator, I love it. Like, I loved everything. Like, I love all the new introductions to Horde. I really do. I think, like, the class system and the Fabricator and being able to move objects wherever the hell we want, like, I think that's brilliant, right? And that's, like you're saying, like, it's part of you. Like, you just want to see where you can push this to, where can you do this?
Yeah.
Like, what, that's fine. And, I don't think they expected people to break the game as much as we broke it.
Yeah, I completely agree on your point where I do like the change from 3 to 4 where you can actually move everything around and place wherever you want to place instead of being locked down. because it offers that freedom. But yeah, but it also leads to that problem of people breaking things that the developers didn't intend to.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's all farmed on. Yeah, but it's all based on credits, in my opinion, too. Like, we all started off, like, when the packs were heavy, and you wanted all the new content, and the game was fresh, right? Anybody that was doing Horde was speedrunning it because of the fact that you needed those credits. And
Yeah, those PTSD days with the UIR packs and those 4400.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Right. Yeah. Like, I mean, that's, like we all did it. I mean, I was there. I
Yep.
bought those packs at that price, like,
same here.
like, so, and I've been there for every Horde glitch and every speed run that's come out because the game's broken when they release it. I've been there for all of it, like Foundation when you could use the team revive trick.
Yeah.
Anybody do that one?
Yep.
You did that one, Chaps. So
Certain ones were a lot more fun than
Oh
others.
yeah, I absolutely did that one.
Right. I mean, it's just, we farmed it, and the packs now that the packs are kind of slowing down and stuff and I just play because I love the mode and I want other people to love the mode.
Yeah.
So
I guess the Foundation one brings up a point, and that is they patched a lot of stuff. They've I don't know, someone's hammering downstairs. That's weird. All right. Anyways, they've patched a lot of stuff. Mainly the Hammer of Dawn's a really big one. Turrets and sentries are other ones that they've patched. But one of the main reasons they've seemingly patched these is to counter speedruns. And I guess that has a big impact on the way people play normal games as well. And do you guys think it's right for them to be patching the speedruns by things that are affecting other players as well?
I'll let some of the other guys weigh in first.
Essentially handicap the standard mode.
Yeah, that's pretty much a double-edged sword on that part too, because on one way it curves the speed running, but it also hurts the normal players because maybe they don't speed run or don't know how to do it, and because their stuff is getting nerfed overall because of people who speed run, it kind of feels bad for them in a way. I mean, I speed runs a little bit here and there, but I can see why they nerf these things to try to curve it.
Yeah,
I think like the Sentry one became they started nerfing the Sentries not only because of the speedrun, but because that kind of mentality of, well, this is the best option kind of flowed over into the standard.
Yeah, it really
runs
did
as well.
Yeah,
And
really
eventually
did.
it became people pushing them out so far that it turned a regular run into a speed run about halfway through.
Yeah.
but they created that monster by nerfing the turrets.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Absolutely.
I didn't run into nearly as many engineers using sentries the way they're used until the turrets got nerfed. Once you got the turrets nerfed, then sentries became the key thing. And Octus showed up in the stream one day, and I play with one of my friends is Birdie, right? And she uses sentries all the time, and we were just annihilating. He came in because we were playing the first introduction of Horde Frenzy.
Yeah.
Like it was when and there's some guy streaming Horde. What the hell's going on? He shows up and he started. He told us there was sentry nerfs were coming. She can't use shocks because she has epilepsy, so she can't use those because she might have a seizure.
Yeah.
So like they nerfed her favorite tool. Like we use level 3 sentries now because they're better than level 4s.
Yeah, because the level 3s don't take as much to repair as 4s, where 4s is pretty much like a money sink.
Right.
But
back to the speed running thing in general, like with just using sentries and things like that. Yeah, I mean, I see that all the time, and the changing of the cards and the value that it costs me after I've earned a level 5 Horde card. And my Hammer Dawn used to be 8,000, and now it's costing me 13,000, and I put in the hours to get.
Yeah, I know a lot of my friends upgraded their Hammer of Dawn card right away because it's like, oh wow, this is awesome. Yep. But now you're making the card terrible for us, and it was a waste of our scrap.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's like I spent so much scrap to have my cards done. And I've never spent a single real dollar. I've done it all through in-game currency. I've never bought a single pack with real money. And you know,
That's
like
same
I've done
here.
all my scrapping and all that with, you know. So when they change the value of a card, to me that's borderline like you gave me these tools and you didn't
Yeah.
realize how good the tools were.
It also it really creates a higher barrier to entry too, because if you think about, a lot of us have a lot of our cards maxed out, and they're nerfing it, and we just have to figure out how to adapt. But think
Pretty
about
much.
the newer players who don't have their cards maxed, and it's
Hmm.
like, oh well, now their level 1 Hammer of Dawn cost them 13 grand, or their turret that they don't have any damage buffs for cost them 40k to, is it 40k? That's 40k after discount, isn't it?
Oh,
No,
you do the
no,
math, but
it's
it's a
actually
lot of
30.
money.
I know. With the turret discount and the general discount, it's down to 36 at level 4.
Yeah, so it's like 80k for a non-discounted turret. Like,
Oh yeah, that's
that,
right. Level 4 turret is 80. Yeah, I know that for sure.
it's
Yeah,
like, oh my god.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
you
yeah.
would think that would be really strong, because it's like, oh, it's 80k. It
That's
must be
nerfed.
really strong.
It's
It's
gonna
not.
be
If you could remove the patches from the game and go back to the level 4 turret when it launched, you'd be annihilating everything on the map. You know, like those things were amazing, but level
Yeah,
4 turret now is not a level 4 turret, you know, not what the game
no.
launched with. And I get that. You know, I don't have any problem with them doing things like that with the weapons, adjusting that stuff. I have problems with the
The
cards
cards are what you have a hard time
because
with.
there's money involved. Like, if I
Yeah,
would have spent real money,
yeah,
I would have been furious when that had happened. Like
yeah, that's a good point.
if I had a level 5 hammer before everybody else because I spent the money to get the horde card there, and then you make it 5,000 more from the fabricator, like that to me is like you're affecting something I purchased technically, you know.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point.
you know,
I I do agree that, like, speedruns show off things in Horde that they show off the exploits, like the sentry thing. People weren't using those, and then people discovered in speedruns how amazing they are, and then it
And
made
then
its
it
way
just
to general Horde. So I
and
agree
then just
some
dominates at this point.
yeah, and I agree some things like that should eventually be patched. But then there's other things like the Hammer of Dawn keeps coming up, and that's one of the ones where that wasn't really getting abused much in standard Horde. It was being abused in speedruns, and I really don't feel that that is one that it probably should have been patched a little bit, like maybe the first little nerf they did to it. But then
You know, like the first one.
they kept
all I
doing
can
it,
go ahead.
and it just doesn't seem right to me to patch something that is only fixing, or it's not right to patch something that's going to affect non-speedrunners just because you're trying to prevent speedruns.
Right, you should fix the
Yeah,
spawn point. You should
yeah,
fix the problem with the map.
spawn point is mainly the whole thing with on speedrunning at this point, because everybody pretty much abuses spawn points for most maps that can be run, and also because of the Hammer of Dawn stuff that pretty much the soldier class is only good for its grenades at this point, because the lancer and the assault
Or
rifle
non-fortification runs.
not for fortification runs. The lancers and the all the other assault rifle weapons are not doing as much damage that they should be doing, or doing enough damage to keep up with the difficulty spike per each difficulty going up from normal. Because if most people would not really rather see a soldier and rather see a heavy, because you know the heavy would actually AoE kill things with drop shots and
Yeah.
boom shots.
So a lot of people who don't do speedruns, and seemingly the coalition a little bit, want to have, or they seem like they want to eliminate speedruns from the game. And what are your
Yeah,
thoughts
it seems
on like eliminating them?
I don't
feel
think it's
like I'm
going to make
talking the
them
most.
their gameplay any better. Is the people that are very against speedruns, if they are taken out, it's not going to make their gameplay more rewarding. So, to each their own, I guess. I don't particularly see it being the best use of resources by the coalition's part to
Yeah.
focus all their time in trying to get rid of speedruns rather than addressing the issues that people keep bringing up. I mean, obviously the Nasher is going to be an endless debate,
Yeah.
but rather than focusing on that or the actual spawn problems, that people are being able to manipulate them in such extreme fashions. They're focusing on, well, let me devalue something, or let me patch and make this weaker. So I just think it's kind of less of a priority. It should be less of a priority.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with Pope on this one, where it should be less of a priority and fix stuff that's more important, such as hit detection, and sometimes right now with the current NVIDIA problem, and pretty much anything else at this point other than Horde for right now, as in not devoting any. I mean, not devoting a whole bunch of resources to it, but devoting most of the resources to other things.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's we all know that's kind of be their focus at this point. Like, I don't think there's another Horde update coming,
Yeah.
for Gears 4. I don't think there's anything major coming. Like, we're going to get these events, which is fantastic. I love that I'm earning skins. That's awesome. That's a great thing. And but I think for the future, I think they need to think ahead. I think Gears needs to adapt a more. The enemies come from anywhere. Yeah, we can still have a fabricator and we can build whatever crazy, like, keep what you got going, expand on it, like you guys touched on already in the last panel. Expand on that, bring us more. But, like, I want the enemies to come from any direction.
More
So
randomized.
the base needs to be around us. Like,
Yeah.
we can't leave the fabricator. Like, they're going to come from no matter where. Like, just bring it. Just bring it on. We have all these tools. So fix spawn. You fix the spawn. You fix the speed runs by making us not be able to find those points. And I mean, I'm sure people are going to find them regardless. Like, there's going to be some way to do it, but it's going to take a lot more work because they will come from every direction. You won't. I mean, like, let's talk about, like, the distance of the fabricator. You know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
chaps. You can drag the fabricator to a certain distance on every map in this game. And behind you is a ginormous
Dead zone.
space
Like,
that could be enemies. That would fix speedruns immediately. If we set the fab down one day and they didn't tell us that they fixed that, and all of a sudden the enemies are behind the fabricator because you pulled it way too far, like, make you have to tuck that thing in a corner somewhere and, like, build, like, I think they can do it, but I know that's not a focus for Gears 4 anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think that'll be a Gears 5 thing, but I think that's a way to possibly prevent them a little bit more, is more randomized every direction type attitude, kind of like zombies or something like that. Zombies, they can come from anywhere. So
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Where if you make it go to a corner instead of having it in one general area and make nothing spawn near it, or make it more challenging and cut down on speedruns a lot, because you just can't force spawns when everything's spawning around you.
Yeah.
And I think that would take it more to the classic Horde feel, because previously Horde started out as feeling like a non-stop, endless battle that hopefully you can reach it to wave 50, but it continuously was coming. There wasn't that much of a break. Now I feel like it's much more toned down, in the sense that whenever I finish a wave, I know for sure I have 30 seconds to fix and kind of relax and take it easy and recoup. Right. And if we're on a different page, I can talk to my teammates and say, all right, where are we going to focus? Where are they spawning at in large numbers, versus that continuous effect of they're just coming. It kind of takes away from that survival feel.
Right.
So when I was in Vegas for the esports event last year, we were talking with Liam, and my friend Schwartz brought up what I think is probably the best view on speedruns that I've heard, and it's the Coalition should not focus on patching speedruns for the purpose of patching speedrun, or they shouldn't patch things because of speedruns. The community will continue to find ways around it, and they'll continue to break the game. What needs to be done is, if they don't want people speedrunning, which obviously they don't because people are getting credits faster, they're going to be spending less money. But if they want to reduce the amount of speedrunning, they need to provide incentives to not speedrun. Provide incentives to play the game the way they want people to play it.
Right.
So
And
it's
that's
mean-
where I really struggle too, because my incentive with the speedruns is really to get credits and get XP
right.
as fast as possible and as little work as possible. Versus multiplayer, I go in there and I have a more enjoyable experience in a sense that I'm using my brain a little more than just that basic do this, get that. But I feel like the reward is just not there. I mean, especially with the hassles that I have encountered with the ranking system as it is. My incentive when I'm trying to play matchmaking is, all right, if I'm sacrificing XP and credits, the ratio that I'm going to receive those versus the time I put into Horde, what's my incentive? I guess my incentive is to get a new tier, try to reach that diamond status. But no matter how many wins I got, my percentage would never go up. So the frustration was, well, versus is doing nothing for me, so I might as well go back to speedruns, I guess.
So what are your thoughts on, like, what could the coalition what could the coalition do to incentivize people to not speedrun, or maybe
Well, I
not
really
incentivize
like
them
the,
to not speedrun, but incentivize them to play whatever way it is that the coalition thinks people should play?